Hello everyone, Nubkeks here, and in today's video we're going to be talking all about healing. What healing spells are better than others, and why are certain healing spells better? How do they actually compare when we break down the numbers and actually go into detail on how they work? That's what we're going to do. This video has actually been inspired by a legendary that I've started using. I'm actually playing Holy Priest. I'm going to have a whole video diving in depth into Holy Priest and Mythic Plus in particular. Hi. Is this Jack Torrin? Oh god. I feel slightly intimidated. But Flash Concentration is legendary. Whenever you cast Flash Heal has its casting time reduced by 0.2 seconds and healing increased by 3%, stacking up to 5 times. So that's 1 second off of heal and 15% more healing when that is maxed out and maintained with Flash Heals every 15 seconds. This is going to be buffed actually in 9.0.5. So I'll do even more stuff on it when it comes out live then. Is this any good? It sounds kind of rubbish, right? That was my thoughts, is why use this legendary? And this is part of why I did this, breaking it down to see how good this actually is. As it turns out, this is actually awesome, and it's super fun to play with as well. But yeah, we're going to look through Holy Priest as an example today. And the purpose is really that Holy Priest, I think, is quite easy to understand what sort of healing it does. And then you can take the same principles I'll show you today and apply them to other healers. If you guys want me to, I could even do it in other videos myself if that would be helpful. We'll see how this one does first of all, though. Okay, so let's talk about single target spells. I've got a spreadsheet, and I'll show you that in a second. What single target spells do we have as a Holy Priest? I'm going to turn off my webcam so you can actually see the tooltips. We can also reset all data. Cool. Hello, Mr. Venth here. How are you? So our first heal is appropriately heal. 2.1 second cast, 1200 mana, efficient spell, heals an ally for 4863. Worth noting, we are item level 222. Secondary stats, we've got 18% crit, 16% haste, 39% mastery, 7% verse. Not fully optimized for Holy Priest or anything, but this is what I've got. But yeah, anyway, that's heal for me. Flash heal then, in comparison, much faster cast time, 1.3 seconds. This heals for 3,346 for 1,800 mana. So it's kind of an interesting thing, right? So Flash heal heals for less, but it casts more. So if we were to compare spamming heal on somebody, you know, spamming heal versus spamming Flash heal, which one would actually be better? How much more throughput would we get? I have a talent that's slightly interfering there, and this weak aura is for our legendary. So yeah, interesting question, right? Now, tying into this as well, to make it a bit more complicated, is Holy Word Serenity. This is a 1-minute cooldown, but performs a miracle, healing an ally for 11,500. So this is a massive heal, but it does have that big cooldown. Of course, then the unique thing about Priest, we've got 2 of these big Holy Words. In fact, we've got 3 of these big Holy Word spells. They get their cooldown reduced. This one by 6 seconds whenever we cast heal or flash heal. So then obviously there's another factor to this, right? Which is, well, by simply spamming heal, we get a slower cooldown reduction on Holy Word Serenity. Hello. Whereas by spamming it very flash heal, more of them, we get back to Holy Word Serenity faster. But for example, how did just the heal and flash heal spells compare? We've got another couple of things here as well. Renew. This costs 900 mana. It's instant cast. This is a 3,600 heal over 15 seconds, so it's a heal over time. And then we also have one more thing, which I'm forgetting. Power Word Shield, which shields an ally for 15 seconds, absorbing 2,600 damage. And you can't shield the target again for 7.5 seconds. So how does it actually work out then? How do these actually compare? Let's go to the spreadsheet, which I've done, and let's actually have a look here. So what I've done, I've taken all of these different heals, I've put them into the spreadsheet. This is how much healing they actually do. So again, you can sort of compare just the total healing. So for example, Power Word Shield does the least actual healing. The rest are somewhat similar. Renew actually does a bit more than Flash Heal. As you can see, though, Holy Word Serenity is just way ahead of the others. This does a much, much bigger heal. On top of that, we also have the mana cost. We can see Holy Word Serenity does cost the most. Renew costs actually by a good chunk the least. I've also put in their cast times. Now, I've got 0 in for the instant casts. For the purpose of some of the math stuff here, I treated it as 1.3 for that because, again, that's the length of a GCD for me with my current haste. So that's what I'm treating it as. These are the columns where things get kind of interesting, though. HPM, this is healing per mana spent. So for every point of mana you spend on these spells, how much healing do you actually get? This one is healing per global is what I treated it as. So rather than healing per second, because there's a few other things that go into it. So for example, renew obviously is going to have very low healing per second because it's happening over 15 seconds. So the healing per second is very low. But for you as the healer, that button press is still healing this much. It still heals more than a flash heal, but it comes in slower. So I'm breaking it down as healing per global instead for the purposes of this. You could obviously do a healing per second thing as well, but I don't think that's actually as important in terms of understanding when and why you want to press your buttons. This is a healing per global then. So interesting when we break it down. In terms of healing per mana and healing per global, we can see that, in fact, Flash Heal is only slightly further ahead than Heal in terms of healing per global. Obviously, those heals are going to happen faster because it's a shorter cooldown, so it's going to be more consistent throughput of healing, but it's actually not going to do all that much more healing by itself. And when we look at the healing cost per mana, Heal is over 2 times as efficient. You're getting over twice as much healing out of your mana pool with heal spam than you are with flash heal. For very little return in terms of healing per global, the real value that comes out of flash heal is in reducing the cooldown of Holy Word Serenity, which you can see is an absolutely monstrous heal. It is the most efficient heal. For the mana spent, it does by far the most healing. The actual button press itself does over double the healing of any other spell that you can press. And then again, because of that, its healing per global is also obviously then over double of the healing that you could get. This healing per global does become even more relevant when we look at Divine Hymn, like a channeled healing cooldown. We'll come to that in the AoE section. But Renew, actually, this surprised me. I thought that Renew was worse than it was, and I haven't really been using Renew. But when you look at Renew, it's doing very little healing, and the healing per global is very low, but the mana cost is actually very low, and it's actually, therefore, pretty efficient in terms of mana. In fact, it's actually as efficient as Heal is in terms of mana, which is actually very impressive for healing per mana point. Not too bad. It's much more efficient than using, let's say, Power Word Shield, which is by far the least efficient source of healing. So the Renew is actually not too bad. This could certainly be worth, I think, putting on your tank in Mythic Plus, keeping that rolling as a consistent source of healing. One of the downsides as a heal over time is, of course, that, it takes 15 seconds for this to actually kick into effect. So if someone dies in that time, that's going to feel pretty bad. And also because it's heal over time, they could spend some of that time at max health, in which case it's not going to be that valuable. So, for example, it wouldn't really be worth blanketing a group in Mythic Plus before going into a pull, because most of the group's going to be at full health for most of that Renew. It's going to be wasted, and this efficiency goes way down. But I think putting it on your tank is actually not too bad. It's not too bad. And again, you can set that up before you go into a pull. And for 15 seconds, you're getting, you're going to get an extra, 3,600. Let's say 3,000 heal on through your tank for free. So that could be kind of interesting. This is where things become quite fun as well. I was looking at the legendary. Okay, so with the legendary, remember, what is this doing? This is the Flash Concentration legendary. This is making our heal cast faster and increasing its healing by 3% per stack. We break that down. The healing is going to go up from 4,800 to 5,520. The cast time actually becomes equal to flash heal, which is really interesting. It's just the way that the haste works. That's how it scales down. It's not going down lower than flash heal. It does go down to 2 flash heal. So we get the speed of the flash heal cast, but it still retains the old mana cost of heal, and the healing goes up. The healing per mana point actually goes up slightly from heal as well. We go up to 4.6, and then this one is really impressive. The actual heal per global, the amount of healing you're doing per global cast, jumps up to 4,246, which is way more than basically everything else you can do apart from your big mega 1-minute cooldown, which you're trying to reduce. Maybe get it down like 30 seconds or so, This is pretty big. That's a lot of extra throughput. Again, compared to what else you would do in a sustained single target healing environment for priests without this legendary, the best you can do is really spamming these, 2,500, 2,200 heal per global. That's as much as you can do. And then Holy Word Serenity whenever you can. With this one, again, getting back Holy Word Serenity at flash heal speed, I can get not quite double, but almost double throughput, consistent throughput. It's pretty insane. Let's look at the AoE spells then. And you're going to see that Flash Concentration can actually compete with them. It's kind of nutty, right? Which was really interesting for me. I was like, okay, compared to using AoE spells, what if I just single target healed everyone? Would that work? Like during a Prideful? You'll see, you'll see. So we have a few different AoE heals, okay? The first one is Prayer of Mending. So this has a 10-second cooldown here. But this puts a ward on an ally that heals them for 1,000 the next time they take damage. Then it jumps to another ally, will heal them, and then jump to someone else, right? So you get 5 out of this. So it's going to heal for 5,000 overall for 1,000 mana. And again, one nice thing about Prayer of Mending, by the way, is that there's very, very little overhealing. Because it heals people when they took damage. So they take 5,000 damage, it heals them for 1,000, jumps to somebody else. And then it doesn't heal them until they take damage. So compared to other AoE spells, which can often heal people past their maximum health by accident, they overheal. Power Word Mending actually can be more efficient, even better than it looks. We'll come back to that when we look at the chart, because it barely overheals, like a tiny amount. Circle of Healing is your other option with a cooldown. This is a 13-second cooldown for me, which will heal the target and 4 injured allies within 30 yards for 1,700. Our spammable AoE heal is Prayer of Healing. 2,500 mana, so quite expensive, 1.7 second cast. A powerful prayer that heals the target and the 4 nearest allies within 40 yards for 1,400. Okay, and then of course the big boy, our big holy word here, our first big holy word, I should say, is Holy Word Sanctify. Again, 1 minute cooldown, 2,500 mana, which is going to heal up to 6 allies within 10 yards of the location for 4,000. Right, so I slap that down. Big heal. Going to heal a chunk of people, 6 people in there for 4,000. Then we have 2 major healing cooldowns as well. One is baseline, which is Divine Hymn. You're going to channel for 6.9 seconds. It's going to heal everyone for 5,000 healing over that time across those 5 different ticks, one when you initially press it and then one every 2 seconds. And yeah, then another thing I didn't include was that it increases the healing done to the targets. It increases their healing taken by 10% for 8 seconds. And this is actually being buffed in 9.0.5 to stacking up to 20% increase healing taken for 15 seconds. And that goes across the whole raid. Now, I've not factored that into my graph, but I hope you can understand how nutty that could be. Like, in a raid, you do a full channel of Divine Hymn, and then all of the healers in your group are going to do 20% more healing to everyone for 15 seconds after that hymn is finished. It's kind of nuts, right? All of the health stones, health pots, everything's going to do more. Kind of crazy. So there you go. And this also does double healing when not in a raid. And another big one, Holy Word Salvation, 12-minute cooldown. The cooldown is reduced whenever we cast Holy Word Serenity or Holy Word Sanctify. So our other big Holy Word spells reduce this. This is going to do 1,800 healing to all allies, applies Renew, and 2 stacks of Prayer Mending to each of them. So a massive heal. How good is it actually, though? Is it as good as Divine Hymn? How does it compare? What's the comparison? Let's take a look, shall we? And again, understanding how this works. So here we go. This is our AoE sheet, okay? Prayer of Mending. Prayer of Mending coming in. I put the healing in italics because, again, like I said, this will tend to be more effective than these other heals. These other heals can and will overheal, but this one really won't. So it actually will do probably more healing than you'd think. 1,000 mana makes it super cheap. It's instant cast. This actually comes out as super efficient healing. This is a 5 HPM, and again, bearing in mind that it won't overheal, whereas other things often do, this becomes a super efficient button. You're going to see some of these numbers get pretty nutty here, right? And then, again, the healing per global, though, is very low. This is by far the lowest healing per global. It's slow healing. It's relatively a low amount of healing. It's just very, very efficient, and it doesn't overheal. So it's a great thing to have bouncing around. But this is, for example, not something that you'd be rushing to press in an emergency. When the group is taking loads of damage, this is not a priority unless you're super tight on mana, right? Circle of Healing, then, is super good as well. Does a chunk of healing. The mana cost is still pretty low. We get 5.2 healing per mana. And this is more efficient than everything apart from Holy Word Serenity from single target. And it's almost as efficient as that. Really, really good. This actually does do pretty damn good healing per global. In fact, the only things that are going to beat Circle of Healing, which is that short, 13-second cooldown? Yeah, short 13-second cooldown, are the major CDs, right? So this is actually really efficient for AoE healing. Our Prayer of Healing, this is our spammable AoE, our only spammable group heal. It does a good chunk of healing, but it's very expensive, right? Even though it casts fairly quickly, you can see that its mana efficiency is terrible, 2.8. 2.88 on the mana efficiency. So you're going to tear through your mana twice as quickly spamming this as opposed to other things. And the healing per global is actually relatively low, 4,235. And then the big boys here, Holy Word Sanctify, you can see is actually a pretty beefy heal. It's going to heal for 24,000 if you hit 6 people. Hitting 6 people heals for 24,000. Again, this comes out at 10.9. So by far our most efficient spell so far, if you hit 6 people and fully heal them with it, or get full heal value. And again, the healing per global is 18,000. So it's super valuable. It's actually much stronger than Holy Word Serenity, presuming that you hit all those people. Divine Hymn then, and again, I'm not factoring in any of that bonus healing, that's going to heal in a group of 20. This is a 20-man group. It's going to heal for 100,000 with my current gear for 2,200 mana. It does have, this is the thing though, it has a super long cast time because it's channeled. So you've got the opportunity cost, right? You're not doing anything else while you're channeling Divine Hymn. So that's going to hold it back. However, it is going to give you 45 healing per mana spent. So it's going to, in terms of spending that mana, for that 2,200 mana, you're getting an absolute monstrous amount of value out of that. It's really, really good there. And again, the healing per global, for pressing that one button, you're going to get 14,000 healing out of it with that global. So it's really not too bad. It's really not bad at all. Holy Word Salvation, though, in raiding, in a 20-man raid, this thing is monstrous. Look at this. 146,000 healing. Nuts. With a short little cast time. You see, it's actually only slightly more mana efficient than Divine Hymn, but because the cast time is so much shorter, right, you're actually going to get monstrous value per global. You're going to do 69,000 healing per global. It's as good as 10 circle of healings on top of each other. It's a crazy amount of healing. Again, because you're going to get a free, you get renew on every single person. You're going to get 2/5 of repair of mending, full cast of prayer mending on every single person. It's nuts. This does absolutely tons. So it's just quite interesting to see. These are why these raid CDs are so effective. And yeah, it gives you an idea for what's going on. Again, the bonus to healing on Divine Hymn, though, does bring it back up, but you can see just how powerful that Holy Word Salve is, even after it was nerfed here in Shadowlands. Here we go. We put this stuff all together, and this gives you sort of an idea for raiding, right? We put everything together. One of the things I think is quite interesting, and this is why I wanted to make a 5-man version as well. We'll come to some of these, but instantly straight away, this is the numbers adjusted for 5-man. This is what I wanted to look at. Because what I realized when I looked at this was that using heal with flash concentration, right? So stacking, spamming my flash heals, getting my flash concentration built up to 5, and then actually just single target individually healing people with these really strong, really fast heals is actually pretty damn good. The healing per global is actually 4,246. If I was to instead be spamming Prayer of Healing, we'd actually be doing in AoE the same amount of healing. And yeah, almost identical the amount of healing that I'd actually be getting out for the time that I'm spending casting those, which is kind of nuts. Of course, the big difference is that I'm going to be spending almost twice as much mana with Prayer of Healing than I will with the flash concentration heal. So I'll be much more mana efficient with this than I will be with Prayer of Healing. I'll get pretty much the same throughput in terms of healing. I guess one of the big differences is that with Prayer of Healing, I'm getting reduced cooldown on the Holy Word Sanctify, whereas with the heal with flash concentration, I'm getting reduced cooldown on Holy Word Serenity. So that definitely sort of balances things out. Though, as you can see, Holy Word Sanctify, this heals up to 6 players. So in a 5-man group, this is actually weaker, right? If we compare it, to this one, 24,000 healing to 20,000 healing. So this actually becomes an 8 healing per mana. It's still really good, though again, I think because it is a targeted on the ground AoE heal, it's kind of difficult to catch your whole 5 people in that. So you could easily maybe catch only like 3. You know, you might only hit 3 people, in which case the value is going to go down from 20k to like 12,000. And yeah, the healing efficiency, it's still good. It's still very worth pressing, but it certainly drops. Yeah, it certainly drops. But yeah, it's still a great spell though, especially if you hit 5 people, it's still extremely, extremely good. Here's the fun thing. Divine Hymn becomes much weaker. It does double healing, but essentially it's doing half as much as it did in 20 man, because it's doing twice as much healing, but we've got a quarter of the size of the group. So it's going to do 50k. It's still going to do a good chunk of healing overall. You're still getting really good value per global. It is in fact now your most mana efficient spell. It's the most mana efficient spell. And certainly when you factor in the bonus healing taken that you are applying to your group, actually stopping to channel Divine Hymn, it's not going to give you the highest possible throughput, but it's still pretty damn good, right? You can't spam Sanctify, you can't spam Serenity. So certainly compared to spamming some of that, the other things, Divine Hymn is actually really, really good and super mana efficient. Factor this stuff in, Divine Hymn is actually very strong. Holy Word Salvation then becomes much weaker. It's still good, but as you can see, the healing it's doing isn't that crazy. It's about 2 Sanctifies, right? It falls off a lot here because this doesn't scale with group size, so it's a quarter as strong in a 5 man as it is in a 20 man. In a 30 man, it's even more powerful. Still costs the same mana. Now, it's still mana efficient. It's still good. It's still good, and it is, again, for the buttons that you're pressing, for the time that you're spending doing it, this is your strongest healing throughput. It does the most healing possible. So it's still a decent button, but again, this is why oftentimes priests won't even run that talent, because it is a talent, won't even run that talent in 5 mans, because it just doesn't, it's still good, but it's not as insane, whereas you always pretty much run this in raiding. Apotheosis, we tend to go into that, which gives you a reset on your holy words, right? So just instantly reset your holy words. You could just get the full, I could, drop in a Sanctify. I'm in combat? Wait, what? Oh, with the punching bag? Okay, never mind. But yeah, I could have that Sanctify in. I could go in and I could pop my Apotheosis. Oh, I can't switch because Holy Word Salvation is still on cooldown. Whoops. But yeah, you could go in and you could pop your Apotheosis and then instantly cast these 2 Holy Words and get really good value out of them. And like I said, Sanctify is almost as good as that. You get loads of extra cooldown reduction for the 20 seconds of Apotheosis. That's why people tend to run that. So it's kind of understanding why and how these compare. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool, right? I think it's pretty cool to just look at it and see that, okay, yeah, for AoE, it is worth casting this stuff, but actually, again, this legendary can totally change your playstyle by making your single target heal actually very competitive. You'd still definitely stop and cast Circle of Healing on cooldown in that AoE situation. You would absolutely cast Holy Word Sanctify and use whatever, Divine Hymn, Salvation, Apotheosis, if you had it. You use those as appropriate. But actually, compared to Circle of Prayer of Healing, for example, you could totally spam Heal Flash Concentration. And it would work pretty well, right? It would work pretty well, especially if you're struggling for mana. That becomes the right option. Burning mana as hard as possible. You'd spam Prayer of Healing to get Sanctify back. But yeah, there you go, guys. I thought, again, this was maybe a bit nerdy, but I thought this is really interesting to actually look at my spells. And then, you can walk away and you get a really good idea for, how to play your spec, and how to play the spec actually makes sense. So as the Holy Priest, I'm going into the dungeon, and I really want to make sure that I've got those 5 stacks of Holy Word of Flash Concentration running, because it's such a mana efficient spell, right? It's so mana efficient in terms of my single target healing. This is the best thing to press. I could pre-apply Renew onto somebody. I could pre-apply Renew onto the tank before they do a big pull for a little bit of extra safety. It's not a huge deal, but that could be sort of useful. Or casting Renew when I'm moving around is actually much, much better. It's a much better spell in terms of the healing per mana and the healing per cast than Power Word Shield. If I was to do a Power Word Shield, I'm much worse off. It's much, much worse, for example. And yeah, you start to figure that stuff out. So I'm going to be, mostly focusing on a heal with Flash Concentration. Holy Word Serenity is a really mana efficient heal. It is a big burst heal, so I could use it as much as possible for mana efficiency. Or I could, in theory, I could also save it for a really big single target heal. If there's going to be a big single target nuke of damage, I could save it. There you go. That's my single target. I can keep Prayer of Mending rolling as well. You keep refreshing that buff, passing it around on people because it is so efficient. Whenever any group damage goes out, my first port of call really is to have Prayer of Mendings bouncing around and pressing Circle of Healing on cooldown. It's so efficient, and certainly Circle of Healing is actually doing tons of healing output. And then I'm planning around my Sanctify, I'm planning around my Hymn, myself, my big CDs. But that is how I handle that group damage. I can spam Prayer of Healing. I could actually just single target people with Heal Flash Concentration if mana is an issue. You get an idea, yeah? It's kind of cool. So again, you could do this with other classes. I thought it was fun though. Nerding out, boys. Nerding out. There you go. Yeah, flash concentration showcase, sort of, through spreadsheets. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you next time. Bye bye.